Anybody there? Good morning, good evening. Well, let's see about this. Anyone here? Oh, there's one person. Quick, say something. I'll continue with the show. I was just waiting. Oh, there. Ellie's back. Did you get my email? I just sent you an email. We're there at the same time. Can we chat back and forth? I mean, chat on email back and forth? Because I can talk to you here, but I'm saying it to the whole world. So, but I'm a pretty open guy, and I feel something. I don't really hold it back. Arr. Anyway, so like I was saying, doing things like this and this, really having fun, making art. I mean, I make art all the time, but it's kind of like for me. And there's one element of art that is like for you, the making, but the sharing. I'm an Aquarian. I'm all about sharing, you know. And I get off. I mean, I love doing things with groups of people. That's like, right? Oh, here's Brian. So here's Brian. Right? And he's a pretty well. Frank has a well known. That's his group. His better half, Lou. And you can see that Lou and I have known each other a long time. She's looking. I just done something, and she's giving me the Lou look. She doesn't give it to everybody. She actually never gave it to Brian. Right? And oh, here's Dave. Dave is a pretty. Is the head metal sculptor teacher at Cooper Union. And here is a real estate guy who I just saved his butt. That was me. This was me at the height. Well, yes, the height of my Mr. Businessman. Had businesses, doing art all over the place, running all kinds of things. Here's puppies, and here is there's Chris, Willie Lenski, good buddy of mine, and this is one of the. This guy helped start MTV. Here's John Bowman, and here is what's his name? of the Kinks, John of the Kinks. All these guys are pretty well known in the music scene. John's a painter, and he's runs the art department at the University of Pennsylvania now. I think last time I knew him was that way. But here are all these really amazing people. Here's a back room at the Raccoon Lodge, is the private bar. And this was Mosi. He's a Mossad assassin who tried to kill me, and I gave him a different choice. And here is this guy. We did a TV show where all it was a gigantic tub of Crisco, and all he did was that he slathered it on while his Great Dane would lick it off. That week, like a half an hour TV show of that, and actually it was quite popular. I don't know what demographic that is, but and so here's so Shoreham was going on nicely. Esther Pank had been fighting it, and then I hooked up with her and helped her organize. And this, I went and because I worked on nuclear power, I went into Shoreham and said, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker and I want to tell your story." So they let me do it, and I put my mother. I didn't. The film, you didn't hear my voice. It was just my mother, who's like a queen, and she kept saying, "So what's this and why is that and what?" I wouldn't, And she found this refrigerator full of vodka bottles, and she goes, "You're building a nuclear reactor. Who's drinking this?" I mean, a lot of. Right? Here's Michio Kaku, and this is Marge Harrison, but she was another Sunni girl, a lady, and she, was studying history and technology and that, and he was a friend that I knew. He went to he was teaching at the New York City Sunni. Anyway, so him and Golf, is Golf in here? The guy who invented nuclear health physics. I mean, that's the guy you want as your, when you roll out somebody who really knows about nuclear power, nuclear weapons, and nuclear everything. So this nun, this is a nun who is well baked. And she was at Marinol, and she was one of those sisters. I don't know if you remember when Jimmy Carter was president, the CIA whacked this whole group of nuns, American nuns, because they were stopping the wars in El Salvador and Nicaragua, because they would roll up on a bunch of murdering guys, and they'd be in their nun outfits and go, and they would stop killing the kids. Right? And she survived. And this is out front of the Shoreham nuclear power plant, and every weekend we had a party out front, and people bake stuff, and people's gardens, and we had like a farmer's market where everyone just traded, no money. And so this was the first day we started Long Island Life community in front of the plant. I said, we have to have a presence here all the frigging time. And right at the gate where the guys come in and out. And we talked to them, because what happened was we got into the heads of all the guys who were working on it. And there was this guy who did x-rays of all the real critical welds. And basically, Chase Manhattan Bank and Local were just showing one perfect x-ray and saying was the same, this is this, X49T, right? And you're supposed to do that when you build the reactors. And so they were doing it. So that guy who was doing the x-ray work gave me a box of x-rays of the stuff that he sent to the NRC, and along with my movie and that stuff that other guy sent, and was only because, there's Golf. This guy was a Manhattan Project, and he was the father of nuclear health physics, what radiation does to you. So when you want somebody to talk about it, you get the guy who invented it. And so he was Michio Kaku's teacher, and buddy. So we had like the interesting thing. So when we would have these hearings, right? So all of those welds and the film I made forced the NRC to have hearings in Long Island, and we would have, you know, no matter how big a place we got, we would fill it up with irate people. And that only happened because we were doing this every day. We were out front having fun, talking to people, and giving the story. Yeah, local's nice. Yeah, they pay property tax. Yeah, they built that nice high school for you, but you're going to be dead when they open it up, and they're just going to go to the bank, and no one's going to hold them responsible because that's the Price Anderson Act. Go look up the Price Anderson Act. So we did that for 5 years. One reason I stayed in Long Island as long as I did, and I had way more stuff in New York. I was committed, and we stopped. Right? We had intervention. So that was the first day, Valentine's Day, 1984, and I stuck at it for another 5 years, and then I moved on. Half the time I was in New York, the other half I was out there. And I had nice houses on the beach, and I brought all, before I finished them up, I brought all of my artist friends out there. And that was like, the Bohemian Grove of the artist world. And I'm looking at, I do know that there's a lot of great stuff going on. And I do know that, but it's going on right there. It's like why I spent so much time in Roanoke, Virginia. There was a lot of great stuff going on there. And I thought at any minute now, it's going to break out and go across the country and be something that would turn into a movement. Right? I'm an Aquarian. I like that. Right? And that's why I got involved. So that anti-nuclear thing, we did a real Occupy. We went down onto Wall Street, Pearl, because I lived down there. I had a walk down on Pearl Street, right above the off-track betting. It was off-track betting. Then High sold marijuana, and then Larry sold cocaine, and Schizoid sold speedballs, and I was on top. It was Edison's old power station, and I was in the attic. That was amazing. It was about 30 feet high, had these gigantic wheels, and all these platforms. No real floor, but platforms. So, I lived in that. It was really great. And all these platforms had like, this much of actual grease on it. And I skimmed on as much as I could get off, but I couldn't get rid of that stuff. So I had a friend who spray painted me. I knew him from the days when I worked in this foundry where we spray metallized things. I said, can we spray metallized this place? He goes, no, but I said, yes, we could, but that's really expensive. But I have this new process that's like this space age plastic, and it'll adhere to anything. So first, I kind of drew things in what was left of the oil, Then we sprayed this, super duper space age plastic on top of that, and it was like as hard as nails. So I had all these, and the walls, I sprayed everything. So if you went like that, if you didn't cover it, you went like that, this big grease thing. Anyway, so when we did our little performance thing, I took a bunch of the guys from the carnival and folks, my friends from Shalom, Bob. You were having a blessed day. Yep. Mm-hmm. You're a blacksmith. You're an artist. where are you located right now? In the States or in out there in the hinterlands? In another country? Are you in Israel? Where are you? In Israel and Palestine, great little example of academic. People are basically cousins, Palestinians and Israelis. They've had similar experiences in life. People try to kill them, and they both have the same attitude. I mean, they're really nice until they think they don't like you, and then they want to kill you. So the only way to deal with the problem, Israel and Palestine, it's not two states. It's have one country, Israel. Israel's doing that anyway, eating it up, and you make all the Palestinians legal citizens of Israel that have all the rights, and so now they would go to school, have a doctor, you know. And to do that, the Israelis and the Palestinians would have to, realize that they're brothers and care about each other and love each other, and then and then that would be a great blueprint for the rest of the world. Well, in both sides, there are special interests that don't want peace. They get their power from war, and that's a problem. That's a problem with hope. Even here, everywhere, you know, we live in a place of abundance, and we shouldn't be screwing with each other, trying to kill each other. Yeah, I see. No, you're in America. Well, you know what you do, Val? Is that what people call it? People call it Val. I had a really good friend named Valentine. We called him Val. Great guy. He was every Valentine I've ever met were great at everything they did. I have a sense you are one of those guys. So, oh, Sandra. So Val, why don't you get a hold of me at my email, which is the dude awake 42 at Gmail, the dude awake 42 at Gmail, the dude awake 42 at Gmail, all one word, all lowercase. And everybody want to talk to me? Come on to that. And Val, leave me your phone number so I can give you a buzz. Right? We can talk. I want to get a carnival. I want to get a thing called the Traveling Video Art Circus together. And I know a lot of people in the art world, a lot of people in academia. And I used to work in universities a lot. And I would always be, the scholastics would like, ooh, but I was having the most fun because I was working for somebody not in that university, but paying the university to do what they wanted to do, so I could do whatever the heck I wanted to do, and never have to listen to anybody in that university tell me to do X, Y, or Z. Right? So they never did. But the guys who were like pointing up to become tenured would always. But anyway, I was there long enough. And some of these projects would take a year or so or more. And so they would go, listen, we need somebody to teach X, Y, can you teach environmental science? Sure. Can you teach biology? Sure. Can you teach sociology? Sure. Can you teach psychology? Sure. And I said, just give me $100 a class in an office, and that's it. I didn't have to go through the whole process of like making me an adjunct and giving me insurance and blah, blah, blah. They just would give me $100. Somebody would give me a Benjamin every class, just off the top. And 3 of these colleges I was in, they go, listen, we have this thing called the Student Activities Fund, and we need somebody to be like the grown up in the room. Can you do that? Sure, $100. And they had budgets like you couldn't believe. They would take, school of about 1,000, they'd take $300 from each kid. So they could have bands and parties and dances and pizza night. And I would bring in, I remember bringing in Norm Chomsky to UNCA with this other guy. We had this thing called the travel, what do we call it? The Freely Inquiring Society, right? And And that was freely inquiring, not free like it's free, but open, freely inquiring, understand society, community, right? So that's what that was supposed to be. And it was pretty good. But that was our biggest thing. And Dave was his name, David. It's always David, right? And half the people call him Dave. And no, it's David. And those are people who don't want you to forget they have an id. So I do go by that. Okay. So they, I got about 7 stories running at the same time here. So anyway, traveling video art circus. So my experience with this, of the student activities fund, is that every college has one of those things, and they got to spend it every semester. So by middle of that semester, they're like desperate to get lecturers and bands and just to spend the money. So if we could put together a nice little traveling video art circus, right? So the traveling is us going to these different universities. The video would be like YouTube, or what I think would be better is we make our own platform. Way before YouTube, I called, I started something just like YouTube in Asheville with this brilliant guy, and uh, it was in the basement of this building. He had a wife and a kid, and he was a nurse, but he wanted to get away from everything, was down in his basement. And I had a loft in the alley behind his basement place. Anyway, I would go down and hang with him, and he knew. I mean, he was on the internet. This is like 1992 and 93, 94, right? And we came up with great ideas like the URLs. We invented every URL we could get, and then just put it up there, because in those days it was free. Like, you know, uh, New York City.com, Los Angeles.com, and because none of these guys had sites yet. And we just went down the road. And GoDaddy, or the people before GoDaddy, realized what we had. And his wife got sick, and he couldn't work, and he sold it for like 100, this big list of URLs. But if we had done it ourselves, we would have been GoDaddy. We would have been billionaires. But so the other thing we did was called Your TV, and it was like YouTube, right? But we did it, and we were, and in my experience at cable TV, 10, 15 years before that, I knew how to do a show with nothing like this, right? And he was scared, and he was and so I mean, we did YouTube like 15, 20 years before YouTube, so that's why traveling video art circus. So we started our own platform, right? And we go to these schools and we put on a show, just like the Carnival Kids, just like this. We have a band of people who can do fun things, do it live, and get the kids involved, get them to do it, not do it for them. Be there for a week. We put together a nice website and put together curriculum, and have it designed to be accessible in the pandemic days. So anybody who wants to do this, get a hold of me at the dudewake42 at gmail. Dudewake42 at gmail. Especially if you live in Florida, so I could get out of this cold. I mean, it has been in the 80s up until Saturday was 80, Sunday was 60, last night it was 40. I mean, winter is coming, and I need to go someplace warm. And I can barely get out of here, meaning my car just started that got me here. And I'm, got the candles on the dashboard and the rosary beads, and I'll get back home. And anyway, so again, get a hold of me on my email, the Dude Awake 42. Let's see if anyone has gotten a hold of me here on the hold. Sandra, there's Sandra. The same to say. Oh, full moon on the 20th. Yep. Okay. Do, do, do. Okay. So you guys, you sent me emails. Send some more. Let's get this thing on the road. So I've been in the woods now for 3 years. I've written 5 novels. I was really reading. I kind of wiped out, just a page of what I'm, because this thing, I can't, you're a really nice computer, Mr. Computer, but it's somebody gave it to me and it's a Chromebook, so it's not very happy unless it's on the internet. And if I write more than 40 pages, it kind of, and so if I hit the wrong button, just wipes it out. So I lost about, a page. So I know what I wrote. I'll write it again, and it'll be better this time. But I'm not going to write any more novels. I won't say never, but I'll edit the 5 I got, right? I got a bunch of essays and a bunch of short stories. And because what else am I going to do out there, right? I check my email again. I will. Oh, there you are. Valentine has sent us some. Yeah, welder too. So did you do MIG or TIG? And do you know about spray metallizing? Are you a spray metallizing guy? That was my specialty in the foundry because it was kind of like alchemy and chemistry and astrophysics, and so I kind of did that. Let's see. And Val, I'm actually going to call you up on this number that you gave me. See if we get a hold of you. Bring you on the show. Where'd you go? There we go. So I'm calling Val. And here's a Hey, tonight we're gonna have our guest Val.
I'm sorry, the person you were trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Please try your call again later.
Okay.
Bye.
So Val doesn't want to be on the show. Okay. Next time. But I'll call you later. Now I got your phone number right there. So anyway, that's so the name of the first show before I had to go into this was what is the old Irish crumb? Not who she was, the what is, and what is was she was a spirit. It was co-creation. She was a human being. Yes, she had historical references, but she stepped out of that. She became something more than just her bag of water, her body. By doing so, she could do other things. Now, I know about that. I've been that. I do that, but I wasn't like her. Meaning, I do little bits and bits. I'm like, and so, and I do that best when I'm with other people, not so much in the woods. Yeah, I mean, I do little things all the time. Like find my car keys and Stuff like that. But the overall, I was sent out there to like reconstitute my body. I died. I was really big. I was really sick. I couldn't. They wanted to chop my legs off. They wanted to give me a triple bypass. They wanted to do all kinds of things. Take my liver out. They wanted to do all kinds of things to me. I said no. It took me 5 years. It took me 8 years to like get to this. And the last 3, I did totally me here, and so I got to my place where it's on to the next show. And that's why I do this thing. I reach out to you guys, say, "Okay, kids, let's take it on the road." Now, it's going to really, we just had summer. We didn't have an Indian summer. So, now, Thanksgiving, or a little bit after, just before December, we're going to have, Indian summer here. And I can still live here comfortably and nicely. Now, my car got me here, it's going to get me back. But I can't drive that 200 miles to see John, and he's begging me to, and I want to go see John. I want to be with John. I want to see, do my whole thing is about, I used to do lots of stuff all the time, and never pull the strings together. Because I always liked the opportunities. Oh, this ain't working out, I'll do this. Oh, now I'm going to do that. Now, about 19, with the Stop Shorm thing, I had to say, okay, I'm going to do a lot of other things. I'm going to do it kind of in a certain neighborhood, and I'm going to, when I'm doing, like when I was in the carnival, that's what I did, right? And the Stop Shorm thing was still part of it, but we were still on Long Island. So within a few weeks, because everyone in that carnival were not only Irish, they were gypsies, not every single one, pretty much. And they were all Roma, and they were all, I knew the family in West Ireland, near Galway, and one time we were having a conversation, and I said, boy, you sound just like Patty. Which Patty? Because in Ireland, it's like, Jim. And they have a lot of gyms too. And I said, over here in near Galway, kind of between Skibberey and Galway, Jimmy O'Connor, family. I said, yeah. Well, that's my cousin, So once I did that, and he got on the phone, Al, he's great, blah, 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 blah. Because I met him like when I knew the Oak Road and when I knew Archie. And that's how small the world is. And so once I did that, then, they already loved me because I was pulling their show together, and they could work and make money and not die, or kill anyone. So, and the gypsy lady, she really, I was living with her. I was her pool boy, and cleaning all her gunk out. And so, and everyone was scared of that girl. She was like a super duper old crone, right? Because she was somewhere. She never told me how old she was, but she was somewhere between 23 and 32, and really, and she told me pictures of her when she had her real long locks. But she was great. She looked great shaved too. But she liked that because she loved to shock people. She looked very, Orthodox, restrained, almost like an Orthodox rabbi, right? And she could read Hebrew. That was another thing. She loved the fact she had this. Her RV was just full of books and other stuff. And that's why we got along. Because whenever I took her to my place, it was full of books and full of stuff. So, and she had a great little Fiat Spider that she would pull behind her little RV. So we would. A lot more fun than my stupid pickup truck. But she liked that too. So that was a great 3 months. But pretty much I was, Shorm was first, my businesses were second, everything, Carnival was most times first, sometimes second, sometimes third. And those were the 3 things. But I had stuff going on in New York. I brought the Carnival into Manhattan. Cable studio, and we did a show of that. That was kind of fun. And what else? So I want to do that again. And I got it in me, you know. And when I was in Ireland and we were taken to, the old crone took me to this alleyway of time and space. Um, and she took me to the little bake shop. And, we had tea, and the tea lady read my tea leaves. And she basically told me everything that was going to go in my life. And then, it left my memory. And when it happens, it's like a deja vu. Oh, wow, she told me about this. And there were certain things she, stuck in my head. And one was that I'd be married 3 times. First time was my training wife. Second one was my twin flame. The third time would be way younger than me, and I'd actually have a kid because I got 128 godchildren, but I'd actually have one like right now. And I'd live another 20 years and in pretty good health to bring that kid up, to be ready to take on what's going to be, right? And that person I'd be with would be the person who would, be like, something like this. You know? And I'm ready for that. But I'm ready to take it on the road, to go to these colleges, wake these kids up, really shake things up in an aesthetic way. Because the only way this is going to change is through aesthetics of love, co-creation of love. Because everything is love. There's one of the greatest laws of alchemy is you can't make anything without love. Ego or force so that's why all of this stuff out here is just an illusion. It's not very little of it is made love. So let's see. Oh, 2 thumbs up. That's nice. 4 people watching. Allie, you still aboard? Anyway, I looked at the emails you sent me out. So we're Al. We're 2 Als. You're Ali. I'm Al. So anyway, what else? All aboard. Okay. So do you have Ali there in England? You're in England, right? And do you have any buddies that are talking the same way, like putting together the band, taking it on the road, doing a circus? And are you in university? Where are you located in what you're doing right now? You got a job? What are you doing? I know you're an artist. I can just tell by looking at you. Sometimes love is tough. No, love is always easy. Other people make it tough for you, but love is that's not tough. And there can be tough love, but that's more a psychological term, and it's really nothing to do with love. I'm at the moment more solitary, but I do have some friends with similar interests. Okay, good. Because that is really when you have a cadre, a crew. That's what, like I show you all those pictures. Those were all we were tight. We lived with each other. We ate with each other. I mean, they all had families and jobs and businesses, but what we were doing was the most important thing because we were family. We were all, collab. We were all family. We were all doing stuff to pay the bills, but in actuality, all of us were like, I've been a master electrician for 50 years. I've been an electrician, for almost 60 years. If you count me sticking a knife in an electric socket when I was 6 months old, I've been an electrician for 72 years, so, and there wasn't a day, whether I was, just starting out or an apprentice or a journeyman or a master or had my own business or any of those things, but I didn't love getting up in the morning and going to work. I loved doing that work. That's why I did it so much. And I had other careers, I was a photojournalist. I enjoyed that, but it got to a place where that's all you could do if you really wanted to do it. And I did that for about 8 months, maybe 6. And I just had this opportunity where I was dropped into it. And see, pretty much everything I've ever done, I've just been dropped into it. I was really good at whatever I was dropped into, like college professor. I had no real business being there. I only got my first college professorship this when I was 25, and I worked for Lester Polikoff, the biggest, most amazing um, set designer. He worked for Joe Melziner, who invented modern set design. And Lester did the Boston Opera, Lincoln Center, Vivian Beaumont Theater, uh, all the major houses in Broadway. He did Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. He did you name it. And then his boys were the people who um, George and George theater design. So architects, and they're the guys who reinvented theater like Melziner did, meaning with hydraulic lifts and all kinds of wild and crazy lighting. I worked for them, right? So you couldn't get any better credentials than that. And when someone offered him to run a theater department in the Newark College of Engineering, he said, nah. And they said, so who would you suggest? He said, oh, my best boy right here. They like pulled me over and said, give the job to him. That was me, 25, not even a degree. Bingo. I was running the theater department, meaning the whole thing. And it was an engineering school. I didn't have one student, but I had a big budget. I mean, it was a state school. Somebody paid somebody, and they built an amazing theater. So it was my clubhouse. And I did stuff there. And once I got, and it was in Newark, and I used to live in the West Village. I used to take the PATH train to Newark. 10 cents, right? Instead of going to Penn Station, taking the train, taking the bus, taking the subway, it would cost me $15. I would just put a dime in there. It would take me right to 2 blocks from my job. But the next year, because I had $30,000 just given to me to build sets, and my boss said, spend every nickel you got. So I built a replication of Hugh Hefner's grotto on the roof of the building, because it had tremendous steel and it had flat thing, and the roof was like a big bathtub, had amazing drainage. So I had the water coming in like a stream, and I had a jacuzzi hot thing and a whole little temple of hedonism. And right down the hill was what is that New Jersey private college that has these things all over the place. I have one of their campuses in Newark. Anyway, they were right down. I had binoculars. Ooh, that's a pretty girl. I go down and say, hey, how you doing? You want to come see my theater? And hey, by the way, there's a grotto upstairs. So I had a bit of a, right? And my boss said, okay, Al, you're head of this department. You get 2 vehicles, a car and a pickup truck. Well, I grew up in New York. And I drive. He didn't ask the important question. Do you have a valid driver's license? I didn't. He said, do you know how to drive? I do. So he gave me those 2, and I got this ID. I'm waiting online, and I got skin tight pants, cowboy boots, really long hair, big beard, mirrored sunglasses, Hawaiian shirt, right? Well, all the other guys I'm lined up with are in suits, right? Really bad suits. And they're all college professors, right? And the guys taking their Polaroid and making their ID, right? And every single one of them is a PhD, doctor this, professor that, doctor. So the guy said, so what's your credentials? I said, I'm a double doctor professor, So he put on my thing, professor, double doctor, Al Bob. Hawaiian shirt, cowboy hat, mirrored sunglasses, right? So, and I get this thing, and it says department chair, right? Double doctor, professor, Al Bob. And behind me is the state of New Jersey's, logo, right? It says state of New Jersey, right? Picture, it says that on it. And it looks just like a driver's license. So that first year, fall comes, and I build the grotto, and I have kick-ass parties in this theater, and I bring all my friends from New York on the PATH train, and I advertised it in both those campuses that this is going to happen. And, we had about 8 of those, and they were like, whoa, right? So everyone loved it. And, it got my face, well, he's doing his job. And around Thanksgiving, I got in the car that had the state logo on the door. And I drove across the country and I went and visited all my, it was a great car, brand new, right? And my pickup truck that had a state license plate, both of these had state license plates on it, I used for my business in New York. And I would triple park, never get towed. It was a state vehicle, right? So, I drove across, and I'd be going through Nevada at 110. Trooper would pull me off. He'd look at my thing and it would say, "Double Doctor Professor Alba," and it had the state logo, and the state logo was right on the door and the license plate. And he'd run, "Okay, well, just slow down now, Doctor." Never got a ticket. Never got put. Had really long hair. I usually kind of pulled it up, would wear a hat like this. And when I went across, I kind of shaved this off. Anyway, so it was fun. And so the next year, so I get back and we have our, the state kind of says whether you're a good teacher or a bad teacher, right? So I spent my whole budget, 100%, did not have one comment, like complaint, because, I was just there in the fall and then I wasn't there at all. And I was out gallivanting in that car and visiting friends across the country. And so I basically came back and I got this award from Brendan Burns, best teacher, college professor, double doctor, Professor Alba. And I had this nice little thing in a frame. My boss said, "Here you go. You get a raise for this." So, okay. So next year, summer comes around and I'm doing stuff, and I decide to move into into Newark. And I met these old ladies, and they had this old Masonic lodge, just killer. And it was right on the line between the Portuguese neighborhood and the black neighborhood. And these old ladies found me because a friend of mine had a Leslie organ. And back in my rock and roll days, I was Mr. Leslie. I would fix those things in, a Hammond B210 with the Leslie is the speaker that spins. And I was really good at fixing them. So they were very cantankerous, but made sounds that no one ever heard, right? So it's like before, before digital electronic music, before whatever you call those things. Anyway, so those old ladies got a hold of me and got me this cute little apartment that was in the Masonic freaking lodge. Wood paneling, it was great. I had my own little back door, and on the alley, the other side was this Portuguese restaurant that I just, I would fix stuff for them, and I could just roll in there and make my, what do you got in this? Oh, yeah, that's good. I'll take some of that. I'll take some of this. So that was, summertime there, and I met the Mraz sisters, and Christine was. I've had a lot of Christines in my life. She was a rocket scientist. She was getting a PhD, and she was working for Johnson & Johnson. Every time she was doing some research for her PhD, Johnson & Johnson stole it from her to make money, and would patent it and say, "Well, we'll give you a raise." Anyway, that was, and then her middle sister was Natalie, who was at the University of West Virginia, and she was a DJ on the radio station. And so I went through these girls, right? And the youngest one was 19, and her father worked for the railroad, and her brothers were just losers, right? So the three girls were amazing, and the boys were. And I first was with Christine, and kind of spunked her up to the point where she went to Stanford. She just said, "Screw it," got her, finished up her degree at what is the name of that school? Starts with an S, but it's New Jersey, private school, all over the place, great famous school. And she went there, and then I get the middle girl who was in West Virginia, and I kept driving up to see her, and starts with an M. I forget the name, but anyway, the big town where the college is. It'll pop into my mind. And then, so she went and joined the Peace Corps, I got her all excited about that and for my world travels. And so she joined the Peace Corps. And then the third one was, a little bit younger than me, right? I mean, a lot younger. She was 19, I was 24. And she finished high school. She was brilliant like her sisters. And her father wouldn't let her go to college because he just wanted her there to take care of him. And he really, beat her up and tormented her. And one day I'd seen her, through her sisters. And one day she just was, at the college, said, "Oh, I can't stay. Oh, man." And I said, "Okay, why don't you go to school here?" And she goes, "What?" I said, "Well, this is the school I work at. At this moment, at this point, I'm like the dude here. The guy who's part of admissions, I could just walk you down there and get you in there and have it paid for. Period, zip, zilch. And they'd give you a place to stay. And that would be and then tell no one where you are." And she said, "Wow, that's a good idea." I said, "It's an engineering school, but listen, I'm running a theater department, Why don't you, I have no students. Why don't you sign up for that? It would look good. I at least have one student." So she did that, right? So she really loved theater, but we weren't doing it, but we had this big theater department. So, and she really thought I was she had dreams about me because of her older sister and then her middle sister, and then she was going to be the third in line. And I just kept seeing her as my buddy, my sister, my niece, my daughter, but I was only 23, she was 19. It could have happened, but no. But we had that kind of relationship that I loved her unconditionally and I took care of her and watched out for her and all the above. So that was great. And she was my one student. I got her a job there running the office and running the place, right? So one day, she's off and it was good for her because instead of like glamming onto me, she had friends, she got a boyfriend, she had this, she was studying all kinds of other stuff there. She went to that other school down there. I wish I could remember the name of it. And a big school, really well known, famous, has sports teams, private. Anyway, so one day I'm like sitting up in the youth's little place, and I got my feet up on the things, and I see this unbelievable black woman walking down College Street because that private school was down there. Newark College of Engineering is kind of top of the hill, and over here was Newark High School. So you came up College Avenue, there's Newark High School. So I see this girl, she got a mini skirt, and she is like, I'm just like this. I got my binoculars on, right? She is an afro like this, and she is a ebony African princess. And I'm just like, totally spent, right? I have no girlfriend. I have a daughter, but not really. Who's running the theater department. Anyway, I just right down the steps. And she is like walking up the steps of Newark High School into the building. And I'm like looking at her legs going, and I go up those steps. I hear her high heels click, 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 click. And she goes down the basement. I kind of slow down because I'm now inside. And it's like, the afternoon and the kids aren't really there. There's a bunch of them rolling around and doing stuff. And I'm kind of, I'm just following the high heels. And she's down in the basement in the cafeteria. And she has her theater class. And they're doing a scene from Othello. And I'm like, and it's like the reverse. Pretty much she only has girls in her class who are like her women. She's making these strong African women, giving them, and a voice. And all the male parts are being done by women. The Othello is a woman, right? She's actually playing Othello. And I'm just like, and I'm watching it, and I'm like way in the back of the cafeteria at the door and watching this. And she has all the lights turned off, and she's got one right towards it. It's the closest thing they could get to a theater experience. And so after they do that scene, I'm just like, yeah. And, she hits the fluorescent lights. There I am, white boy. And she looked, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm, I'm Professor Alba. And she goes, you're the guy from the grotto. And she moved, gave me the stink eye like nobody. I said, no. That's way overplayed. It's, come on, give me a break. I want to show you something. Bring the kids with me. So, they're all kind of in these kind of semi costumes. And we go upstairs, go across the street, go into my theater. I take them, into the lobby, straight down through the seats. There's the stage, show them the stage, and on either side, there are these big spaces, bigger than the stage. One's a set, and one's to have scenery that you can roll on. And there's a grid, meaning you can fly things down. And she's just like, she knows what a real theater is. She's looking at it. And then I take her, into the back where the classrooms are, and we have rooms with sewing machines to make costumes, other classrooms to teach this stuff. And she says, and I said, this is yours. You deserve this. I'm not doing anything with it. I run it. I have the authority to say, this is yours. And she's like in shock. And the kids are running around, oh, and they're like playing with all this stuff. And I don't say, no, don't touch that. Just let. Anyway, long and the short of it, I go to her principal and said, hi, I run this place. I want this lady to take her classes and everything over there. And I took the principal, I said, come with me. I showed her, I said, this is yours. I told the principal, this is yours. I'm going to teach at least 100 kids to have a career in this. And he started to cry. Because he was straight from Newark, had been a policeman, then became a teacher, then became a principal. And his school was the best in the black high schools in New Jersey. So, and they had just had a gigantic riot in Newark. That's a whole nother story. So anyway, so he goes, okay. I said, we just gotta kind of, keep it semi down low, just semi, but no paperwork, no money, but this is yours. And I'm going to run it. And she's going to be, the artistic director. And she's going to do it all. I'm going to teach all your kids how to build sets, how to do lighting, how to be electricians, how to do costumes, how to do makeup, how to write, how to play, blah, blah, blah. And he was, and, my young assistant, my girlfriend's younger sister, she was like, and she just grew down it like that. So all of these black girls became her younger sisters, and that teacher became her black older sister, and she became, a black sister. And I became a black guy. And finally, that theater lady, she was like, at one point, after we did the first play, I just went to the mat. I took all her kids who wanted to be, costumiers to Brooks Van Horn, the most historic, most famous, most everything theater place in New York. And I knew the guy who owned it. I said, I want these kids to be your apprentices. Okay. I got them to not have to go to school. They could just be in there. He would teach them everything, how to read, they knew they had better, student skills than everybody else in the school. So, and I kept making these deals with the principal there. I'm doing this, and he just let all of this stuff happen. And no one cared in the school, Newark College of Engineering. No one cared, So this went on and on and on. And I started to look like Hunter King. I have like very straight hair, but I looked like Huey Newton, and I went to the football team there at that high school, and I said, listen, so you've heard all about what's going on in the theater. Oh yeah, that's a great thing. You're doing a great job. It's changed the school. Everyone's happy. Oh, it's so much. But you're dead after the rise. Oh man, this is great. You're doing a great job. I said, I'm not. This lady is. Oh yes, she's always been the greatest. I knew her when she was a little girl, and that whole high school knew everybody since they were little kids. Anyway, so I was part of that family, and I was living downtown with the old ladies. Right on the line of the black community and that's when that lady became, she knew the old ladies, and she did some singing with the ladies in the organ because that was their church. Did you ever see the Blues Brothers? And where the hardest working man in rock and roll is the pastor. They come and see him, and the people come off stage doing cartwheels and that was their church. And they had like 6 of these Hammond B210s with Leslie playing at the same time. It's like, whoa, you feel it in your organs. So I was black, This one guy said, Al, you're really a brother. You're really an African American that's melanin challenged. And I said, yep, that's me. Because I had this girlfriend who was like hair out to here. It was fun sleeping with that girl. So, it was like not just watching her sleep was with that. So anyway, it just got better and better and better and better and better. And to the point, in the spring semester, Brendan Burns, the governor, after that terrible thing, we had this black, fiesta of we closed off, College Street and Newark College of Engineering, the theater department, which was more, we were just almost in that other school. The private school down below us starts with an S. Everyone knows except me. I can't even think of the name. Anyway, and the governor came. Anyway, it was the most amazing kumbaya, black and white theater and music and dance and paintings. And it was great. Everyone loved it. It was like the most amazing thing. And so I got an award, from Governor Brendan Burns gave me an award for being the best college professor in the whole freaking system, the most amazing, racial harmony guy in the whole government. And, my parents didn't even come to the award. Anyway, so, I was like, until I went, around Christmas time, just as the football season was coming to its culmination. No, I guess it was full. I went to the football guys. Said, listen, we need guys in the theater. And all these pretty girls, these guys are going to like that. But I'm going to teach your boys to dance. And the coach said, what? I said, hey, your backfield. If they knew how to do pirouettes, they'd never get tackled. If your quarterback knew how to spin, and the guy goes, and I took him to Lincoln Center. I took him to Juilliard, where I went to school, and took him to Carl Hoare, my dance teacher. And I said, listen, if this guy can teach me how to dance, just think what he could do with your football players. And he and Carl got like kumbaya, and I had 20 backfield guys, and I took them, twice a week to see Carl, and he taught them how to dance. And so they became the male leads in the theater. And 4 of them went on to theater school without a football scholarship. But anyway, all of that was going on, and I was just sitting back going, look at this. This is really great. I wasn't doing really anything. I was just kind of putting people together and having fun. They were doing all the hard work. And so, I just flew off for the ride, and I know how to do that. That's what, that was what this was, I knew how to, most people were scared of that lady. I said, I like her, sure. Working at the carnival, most people wouldn't, when you had a real job, would you do this? I did, When I'm got a real big couple, 3 restaurants, a whole bunch of other things going on and doing stuff like, well, she get paid for that. No, Here's Kiki Smith's sister. And so, I just went along for the ride. I was just the minister of fun. I could mix and match people that would just work amazingly well. That's what I want to do now. That's it. So what happened to the end? So in my office, it was totally African. I had zebra skin behind it. I had this rattan chair. I had spears. I was always wearing black leather and black clothes, and I, trimmed my hair to the African standard, and had my beard the same, and everything was black. All my hair was black. It's interesting. My hair can change colors at whim, and I don't need to use a bottle. Anyway, so it was, I was, happy as a clam. And so one day, I'm in my office, and the football guys who were really getting into theater, about 8 of them, they're still Mr. Football, but they were still doing the theater because there were all these, there were 8 guys and 30 women, and they were all amazing young lady, who they went to school with, who they were shy to talk to, and now they're in theater with them, doing love scenes. Anyway, so these guys, so I was like the chief, and they were my warriors, and so this guy comes in with a Madras jacket and a little bow tie. It's a little squirt of a guy, and he starts just screaming racial epithets and misogynist things, because all these folks were running around in skimpy outfits and costumes and stuff. I mean, the theater turned into everyone's home from that high school. What are all these black people doing? And he was just, he was like, a little midget, Ku Klux Klan guy. He's just, what the hook? And I said, boys, take care of him. And they picked him up and took him out and, threw him down the stairs. About 20 minutes later, I get a phone call from my boss. Al, you have to come to the office right away. So, okay, sure, I'll be there. I mosey on over, and there's a guy, and he's not, he's got, a scratchy thing here and a little blood on his white shirt, and yeah, what? And he says, do you know who this guy is? And I go, no. And he goes, well, he is the chancellor of this whole university. Really? I've never seen him. He goes, Al, you never come to anything of this school. You just have your theater, and you have that other college down there in the high school, and because you're getting such great press, we let you do that. Our budget has grown 20% because of you and what you do, and we just, oh yeah, we like him. Yeah, oh, he's doing a great job. Oh, he's Michael. I hired him, but and it's you're going too far. The grotto on the roof. I mean, you drive that truck like you treat it like you don't even have a driver's license. And I said, did I ever get arrested? Did I ever get, no. But I see you driving by, and then I find you don't have a driver's, someone told me that you were in California last year. I said, yeah. So, and I had a budget for 8 teachers. I had a single student. I went to the person. I said, so listen, she goes, so you haven't hired anyone, so where do you want this money to go? I said, I'm going to teach everything. So why don't you just send the money? And she goes, well, if you join the state, what is it? The state bank, it's not a lottery, it's the, I forget what they call it, but it's like, it's a co-op bank. So you join our co-op bank, I can easily just hit a button and it all goes in there, and I'll give you this kind of debit credit cardy thing. And it's great, sounds good to me. So she did that. I didn't do anything. I signed 2 pieces of paper, bingo. Instead of getting like $300 a week, I got 8 times 400 plus my 300 every week. Right? So that's a nice chunk of change, 73 or 74. And, but this is, but I just pushed the envelope. He kind of took, he had a file on me, pulled out a photocopy of my ID. Double doctor, professor, really, Alba, that's not your name. I said, yeah, but it works on that card there, So he goes, listen, you've done a great service here, you've got that award, and we got to let you go. I said, what? He goes, look, I'm going to give your job to that woman. Isn't that better? Yes. And that girl of yours, she's going to stay here and graduate and go on to graduate school. And we're going to take care of her. We won't, she got beat up. Her father found out where she was, and they came after her. But she was like with my boys, and those 8 football guys just ate her daddy and her 2 brothers up because they were drunk. It's easy to beat a drunk up. So it all worked out, and I moved on, right? So that's that story. And the guy who went off the hook, what was very interesting, my building, being the newest on that campus, actually had video cameras and microphones. So my daughter, niece, whatever I want to, but my girlfriend's youngest sister, that's probably a better way to describe her. She's in the office. She is like looking at that and hearing it, and she hits the record button. So when I went in to see the guy, she was with me and said, "Oh, by the way, I think you want to hear this." Click, and the guy screaming, and it was on a VHS. She plugged it in there, put it, got his face screaming, yelling, and that's when they said, "Okay, you're not getting arrested or in the voice. We're just going to leave it here. We're going to let him go because he is a problem, and you're just going to retire, and the girl's going to take over, and it's all going to be great." And Lisa here, she's going to graduate, go into graduate school, and we're going to take care of her. Right? And so my girlfriend, the afro, the princess, she and Lisa became best, like mother and daughter. And they moved into my apartment downtown, right on the line between the Portuguese and the black grandmas, and it was all good. And I left, and I became the legend of that place for those 2 years. And up until I left in '88, I could still go back there, and there wasn't a barber shop or a restaurant in that neck of the woods, either side, the Portuguese side or the black side, or up on College Avenue, that didn't remember me. And Lisa, the sister of my two girlfriends, she went on to get a theater degree and then go on to Juilliard, but she met a nice Portuguese guy who was a bit older than her and had a restaurant, and they turned it into a nightclub. So I helped them build their nightclubs. And that is life, gang. That's how it works. Not just getting a job and staying there, staying in school, and no, being on the edge. And that's what the old girl was. She was always on the edge and always serving love's co-creation. And love isn't tough. It really isn't. So Spirit asked, what's a matrix looking grid patterns, tunnels? Well, what it is we're energy. And that's like the phone lines of the universe, basically. And depending, see, it's all up to you, gang. You can write the script, and that's what the beauty of meditation is. It allows you to take things apart in a way, and that's what alchemy is. It allows you, because guys like Newton and Einstein and Da Vinci and Galileo and Percival and Mr. Euclid, they all understood the really deeper things of the universe, but they couldn't talk about it because either the Catholic Church or whoever was the boss at the time didn't want to hear about it. So it just stayed in the background. And now, since 2012, that's what's happened. We are slowly going into the Aquarian. We are in the Aquarian age. We're no longer, back when in the 60s, when it's the age of Aquarius, that was when we were pulling into the age of Aquarius. And the Piscean guys are just holding on by their fingernails, right? So, and everything is as it should be. So all this crazy stuff that's seemingly going down, like earlier on this year, I said, or last year, end of 20, I said, so you think 20 was a crazy year? Well, 2021 is going to be even weirder. And what's going to really be interesting is that in 2022, the Congress is going to switch back in a big way to Republicans. And they're going to make Donald Trump the head of the Congress, like Nancy Pelosi is, right? The speaker. They're going to make Donald Trump the Speaker of the House, because in the rule book, it doesn't say you got to be a congressman to be the speaker. They just have to vote for somebody. It's going to be great. Him, the speaker, I mean, he'd be perfect. He doesn't have to do anything. And, he can just have his platform to go on and on and on. It'll be amazing, right? And I don't think JoJo's going to make it, because he's either the 25th Amendment or something's going to take that boy out. And then we're going to have, Kamala as our president, and she is like so invisible. So she could be, the thing is before Adolf Hitler became chancellor of Germany in 1933, the Weimar Republic was in charge of Germany for about 10 years. It was the strongest, the best democracy in Europe, probably in the world, ever. And it was so free and so open and so capable that it allowed Adolf Hitler to become chancellor. And then about 4 months later, somebody burnt the Reichstag down, and they passed a law very similar to the Patriot Act called the Enabling Act. A lot of people said it was just a copy of that when we had our Patriot Act. And that was it. That's where the National Socialist Party took over. But on the backside of it, Germany came out okay. It was, it's a pretty good country right now. And but it's all up to us to have the world we want. I always have the world I want, because even if I have to be out in the middle of, where I live, a lodge, Yes, there's nobody out there. Yes, it's just squirrels, but I've had it for 20 years, and so that is my driveway. That's my front lawn. It doesn't look as good as this.
Yeah.
That's the other side of my phone. So that's the story. Buddy, we're already in a police state. We have been in a police state since 1776, since 1492. People can't stand that cancel culture. Good luck with that. Anyway, it's 1 hour and 18, and I put 40 minutes on the other side of that other one. And it's 1:21, and everyone say, conscious intent I am. Conscious intent I am. Conscious intent I am. And visualize my car starting up and I drive home without a problem. Okay? Do that. And I love you guys. And I'll try, I might be around the internet Thursday-ish, maybe, who knows. But it's all catch as catch can right at the moment. So I love you guys. Catch you later.